Greetings and thanks for joining us. My name is Carlos Salinas, and I'm the Regional Director for the U.S. Soybean Export Council in the Americas. A pleasure to have you again in this biweekly update. This presentation is designed for USEC's key customers and for USEC's internal purposes. We hope that you find it of value, and please continue to send us your feedback so we can improve this presentation. As we always do, we'd like to recognize our membership. We have a growing membership. We have soybean processors, soybean exporters, seed companies, equipment manufacturers, state-qualified soybean boards, and many other important stakeholders and funding sources. And we cannot forget the support and contribution that we receive from the U.S. soybean farmer. Without that support, this presentation would not be possible. We have a brief agenda today. We're going to talk about Brazilian weather and logistics. We'll talk about the Panama Canal, and we'll have a brief discussion on relative values on basic commodities and grains. So let's go ahead and get started. Many of you might have seen recent discussions on Brazilian weather. There's been a lot of comments, a lot of articles written. When I take a look at the official sources in Brazil, and I take a look at the weather anomaly since October 11th, or the precipitation anomaly, I think this confirms the concern that many have written. We can see the precipitation anomalies in millimeters from October 11th through November 9th. Covering many different states in Brazil. But Brazil is a big country, and each state represents different volumes that I wanted to share with you, what each state that is receiving less than normal precipitation means. And I want to start from north to south. I will not read all the states, but we can start with the state of Amazonas. Amazonas state with a production of 21.3. You can see that we have some areas of precipitation, but also some areas of drought. The state of Pará, Rondônia, Tocantins are also struggling. Certainly the state of Mato Grosso, this one over here, it's also struggling from a precipitation perspective. And, you know, the state produces 44.4 million metric tons. The state of Bahia, the state of Goiânia produces 17.5 million metric tons, according to CONABE. That's the latest forecast. And we have Mato Grosso do Sul, with 14.4 million metric tons, again, struggling with moisture. These states, the ones that I have highlighted alone, represent 115 million metric tons. Coincidentally, that is the size, almost the size of the U.S. soybean crop, just to put things in perspective. The overall Brazilian production is forecast at 162.4 million metric tons, according, again, to CONAB. The official source. Now, when we take a look at this map, we cannot ignore other countries which are neighboring Brazil. We have Paraguay right over here with a country with a production of 10 million metric tons. And we have Bolivia, Bolivia with the state of Santa Cruz in Bolivia with a production of 3.6 million metric tons. Obviously, Santa Cruz borders Paraguay, borders Mato Grosso do Sul, Mato Grosso, and borders Rondônia, as well as other states in northern Brazil. So I think we have to keep the risk and the potential in mind as we move forward. Shifting to still with weather, but maybe more focus on logistics. This article came out on the Financial Times dated November 6th, highlighting the low water levels on the Rio Negro in Brazil at the port of Manaus. And I'll give you some context of the maps, but they're saying that the water levels have fallen to the lowest points in 120 years, which makes it obviously very challenging from a navigation perspective. I'll give you a little perspective of Manaus right here. Obviously, Manaus is one of significant transportation hub. Here is Santarém. Santarém is a good truck to barge transshipment location, as we have as well in the Mississippi River. But just to give you a better perspective, you got Santarém over here. You have the BR 163. This is the road that was built a few years ago to feed Santarém, to ship that grain, soybeans and corn to the Amazon River. But when we talk about the Amazon River, here's the Rio Negro. Obviously, this is one of the major affluents to the Amazon River, connecting, converging in Manaus and building the Amazon River, moving forward to the major export channels and vessels as well. I wanted to share a video that was shared with me. This was taken very close to Santarém, and I think the video speaks for itself. This is obviously a tugboat which is pulling a few barges. I don't know what grain is inside. I'm going to assume it is soybeans, but it could be corn as well. And you can clearly see what has happened. Again, this video was taken very close to Santarém. It is it's very self-explanatory. We are hearing that many of these barges have to go with 30% utilization because the drafts don't allow you to put much more cargo on those grains. As you can imagine, that becomes very expensive, very inefficient, and maybe the grain will flow via truck or via rail in different routes, depending on how expensive this gets. This is a picture of the Northern Arch map shared with me with a friend of mine, and it gives you, I think, a good perspective of some of the facilities that feed the Amazon River. Here's a 163 road in red that is completed a few years back, and again, it becomes a major hub to feed Santarém and some of the export terminals at the mouth of the Amazon River. So this weekend is going to be very hot in Brazil. These are the forecasted high temperatures. We have many producing states where the temperature will reach above 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So certainly quite concerning. And we can see that some of the forecasts call for an average precipitation exceeding or 9 degrees Fahrenheit above the mean for this time of the year, and many of the producing states on this map on the right. So this was gathered from Global Rural, which gathered from a company called Notus, and I thought it was interesting to share this with you. Again, we'll have to monitor this very closely, and we'll have to see how prices react as we move forward. I think in these type of situation, when you take a look at the U.S., and like I always recommend, make sure to lock in your logistics, your supply chain in Latin America. We're mainly soybean meal buyers. Go ahead and lock in those logistics with a first-class supplier firsthand. We have many within our membership. They'll be more than happy to lock in bases with you. Futures can be managed via different alternatives. Certainly, you can align that with your risk manager. And if you don't have a risk manager, let us know. We can put you in touch with one of our members. But again, we said this before, and the raw material, the most expensive raw material that you can have is the one that you don't have. So I think in these type of situations, supply becomes key. Let's take a look at prices. Since the beginning of the year, soybean meal prices are up 9%, and this is driven mainly by the lower production that we have seen in Argentina. And until we replenish that, I think prices for soybean meal will remain high. I think what we have to question is what the other commodities will do. We have other commodities like feed barley, they're down 10%. We take a look at soybeans, are down 13%, 12% year to date. Corn is down 24% year to date. We take a look at winter wheat, that's down about 27%. Soft red winter wheat is down about 30%. So I think we have to monitor the relative values, because any of these can surprise us given what's happening in Brazil. Again, I think it's no surprise. I saw this article came out on Friday, and Cargill stating that China has bought 3 million metric tons of soybeans this past 2 days. certainly there is an important meeting with President Biden and President Xi in San Francisco this week, but also the situation in Brazil. Obviously, it's inviting the Chinese to move to buy more U.S. soy. And as they lock in capacity on exports, right, make sure you're not lagging behind, because as capacity gets committed, that means that if you come in later, those ideal windows that you're looking for may no longer be available. Again, I'm not talking about flat prices. I'm just talking about plain physical supply. Let's talk a little about the Panama Canal. Again, there has been a lot of discussion. I'm not going to dig deep into the analysis, but we can be assured that no grain is flowing through the Panama Canal these days. It's finding alternative routes for most of the flow. The Suez Canal is a great alternative for some of our South American flows. Other alternatives are certainly being considered, and other ports are being used, certainly more than others. And it's very difficult to obviously hit those Pacific coast areas with some of our products. So there is some implications. The water levels of Lake Gatun on the very left, I shared this with you on October 13th, about a month ago. We were at 79.8 feet. I think the forecast that they had at that point in time has kept in place. We're now at 80.5 feet. And as you can see in this map, as we get to December, we're not going to be increasing by much, which is kind of unfortunate, because in December, on average, we're supposed to be at 87.3 feet, and we're certainly way below that. So we're hopeful that the Panama Canal can bridge the gap all the way through April, May, and again, hoping and anticipating that the weather and the rainy season begins in June, July, and August, so we can replenish much of that water. So much remains to be seen. On the meantime, I thought that was interesting that one of the best ways to gauge the risk is to look at the performance of the Panama Canal Authority bonds that are trading in the market. The Panama Canal Authority issued bonds a while back, and these are bonds which are due in July 29 of 2035. They have a coupon rate of 4.95%, but certainly you can see that since September, they were trading close to $95. Now they're trading close to $86. They've had a significant rate. Obviously, the market is challenging or questioning the Panama Canal's capacity moving forward. If you're a fan of bonds and you'd like to take a look at the details and so forth, these are the details, just if you're interested in buying some of those discounted prices. And again, I'm not encouraging you to do so. It's completely up to you, but something interesting to monitor. I also like to share a picture of my team as I end this quick presentation. We had a great implementation meeting this last week. Our whole team got together, and we have some of our worldwide team members. Chris Samuel from Communications joined us for a great part of the meeting. And again, this meeting was focused on finding ways to more efficiently deploy the resources that we gladly receive and are thankful for, how to optimize many of the efforts that we have as USEC and as a region. And we certainly value all your support. I thank you, and I thank our customers for taking the time. I hope the information shared with you was valuable, and I look forward to speaking to you in a couple of weeks. I wish you a great week. Take care.